Sana yung sa akin. Um,
Okay, so in 2 minutes, we will start our virtual forum. At this point, we already have 31 registrants. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this virtual education stakeholders forum with the theme Stakeholders Collaboration Pivotal to the Continuity of Education and Learning under the New Normal. This is initiated by Mariners Polytechnic Colleges Foundation, Legazpi City, for the purpose of drawing together the various stakeholders in the academe, the local government units, and all relevant agencies in crafting concrete preparations and contingency plans for the continuity of education under the new normal. The main output that we aim to accomplish at the outset of this undertaking is the coming up with a commitment from the stakeholders to a call to action that will be drawn later. Clearer insights on this will be elucidated further in the opening statement, which will be given later. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, before we formally commence, we shall have a short prayer to be led to us by Midshipman Joshua Noel.
Let us put ourselves in the presence of God, one another. In the name of the Father, the Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Loving God, our Father in heaven, you said, where there are two or three gathered in your name, you are the one of minds. We praise and worship you every day. We thank you for of all blessing and grace you shower upon us, especially the gift of life, the gift of the family, and the gift of community. Today, Lord, we come to you the full anxiety about what may happen in coming days and weeks. In this time of uncertainty and pandemic, wake us up to reminder that we are not alone. Even as we are asked to keep our distance from others, help us to find ways to reach out those who needs our support. For for our student, our teacher, and classmate, be with us, Lord. And for our parents, instructor, and government employee whose income and livelihood are threatened, be with them, Lord. Loving Father, we also ask for your presence and guidance as we respond to the spread of COVID-19 in the world, our country, our community, our school. Help us to practice social distance and reveal to us a new creative way to come together in the spirit and solidarity. Help us to each time we wash our hand to let go of our fears and live in joy, peace, and hope. Inspire the leaders in academy and government office and communities to collaboratively work for common goods in this time of pandemic. We especially ask you, Lord of certain and protect all frontliners. Bless them as they offer compassionate care and show selfless courage in the face of risk. Keep everyone safe and give us your gift of faith, hope, charity, so that we are face our own challenges gracefully and respond generously to the needs of the most affected members of society. Help us, Lord God, to use this time uncertainty to grow closer to you, to acknowledge our needs for you and our need for each other. Amen. The Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Siguro pa kung ano.
Thank you very much, Midshipman Rafi Joshua Noel. Once again, good morning. At this point in time, it is my pleasure to acknowledge everyone who are now officially on board in our virtual forum. For the panel discussions, we wish to acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Mayor of Legazpi City and concurrently the Chairman of the Bicol Regional Disaster Council, the Honorable Mayor Noel E. Rosal, and for the Department of Health Regional Office 5, the representative, we would like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Joseph Steven B. Fenol, HEPO 3. Representing the Commission on Higher Education Regional Office 5 is Dr. Pamela S. Viñas, Education Supervisor 2. The Department of Education Regional Office 5, Dr. Roy T. Banyas, the Policy Planning and Research Division. We are also glad to inform everyone that we are also presently joined by the Executive Director of Bicol Association of Private Colleges and Universities, and concurrently the President of Mariners Polytechnic Colleges Foundation, Canacman and Naga City, Dr. Marilisa J. Ampuan. We also would like to acknowledge the Chairperson of Mariners Legazpi, Dr. Gabriel Jimenez, and the Chairperson of Tabang Bicol Movement, Ms. Evita Tuason. For the panel of reactors, we are glad to recognize the presence of Ms. Helen G. Billen, representing the parents, Midshipman Gerard Bata, representing the studentry. From the media sector, we would like to recognize the presence of the Director of the Diocesan Multimedia Services of Albay, Reverend Father Joseph Salando. And as I mentioned earlier, representing the community, particularly the Tabang Bicol, is Madam Evita Jimenez Tuazon. Now I will be mentioning the participating schools as far as the latest update given to me. Those who will not be included in the names I will be mentioning, I will mention it later. So early registrants include AMA Computer College, Legazpi Campus. So I am now reading the presidents, principals, administrators, school officials, representatives, faculty members, and students. Ama Computer College, Legazpi Campus, Buyuan Elementary School, Kabangan High School, Computer Communication Development Institute, Legazpi, Computer Systems Institute, the Vera Institute of Technology, the Divine Word College of Legazpi, the Forbes Academy, Genicom Institute of Science and Technology, Legazpi Hope Christian School, Miriam College of Technology, Dinapa National High School, St. Agnes Academy, STI Legazpi, Tanchuling College, Mariners Polytechnic Colleges Naga, and Mariners Polytechnic Colleges Foundation Legazpi City. As I've said earlier, those whom I missed will be acknowledged later. And of course, our dear parents and other stakeholders who are actually watching via live streaming uh, via Facebook. So to present to us the mechanics of the virtual forum, may we call in Madam Nenita Baldon, our Dean for Business Education.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. May I present to you the mechanics for this forum. Number one, we have individual microphones must be muted unless officially recognized by the moderator to speak. Number two, participants are encouraged to keep their cameras tuned on while the webinar is going on. Number three, question must be referred to a specific panelist and sent through the chat box in advance. Number four, everyone is enjoined to maintain professional decorum at all times. Number five, to maintain some degree of formality, eating during the session is strongly discouraged. Number six, untimely leaving the session and unnecessary movements that may distract others are strongly discouraged. And lastly, electronic certificate of participation will be issued through email after the webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Baldon. And to give us clearer insights about the main purpose of this virtual forum, ladies and gentlemen, may we call in the President of Mariners Polytechnic Colleges Foundation, Legazpi City, Madam Merly Jimenez San Pedro. Okay, so for the meantime, we're still uh, adjusting some, we're making some technical adjustments. Okay, so while making some technical adjustments, again, I would like to remind everyone about the mechanics that were mentioned by Madam Baldon earlier. So let us just keep ourselves comfortable, and hopefully everyone is in. I mean, hopefully we will be able to come up with clearer insights after this stakeholders forum that would eventually guide all of us, especially the academic sector, in making strategies and appropriate actions in the future, especially now that we are facing this pandemic. Okay, so we're still making the adjustments. And we're looking at the registration. It's still ongoing, and separate monitor is showing us that several others are already viewing via live streaming in Facebook. Okay, so Okay, so we are still making some technical adjustments right now.
Unmute. Oh, ayan na. Okay na ako. Okay. I'm okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm okay.
Okay, so once again, ladies and gentlemen, we have the president of Mariners
Mm.
Polytechnic Colleges Foundation, Madam Merly Jimenez and Pedro. Madam, good morning.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am, you're coming loud and clear.
Okay. So thank you so much. And well, we're very happy. Of course, it's a mixed feeling today. We're happy to have everybody on board, and we warmly welcome. Especially, we're honored to have the presence of our honorable Mayor Rosal, together with our distinguished representatives from the Department of Health, from DepEd, from CHED, and also from the Department of Health. No? So three of these agencies. And of course, James, can you, no? I know everybody's, okay ba? Can you hear me loud and clear? Of course, to everybody who's on board with us, the administrators of the different schools in Legazpi here in Albay. Um, and of course, we're very happy we're joined in also by the Board of Trustees of Mariners Polytechnic Colleges Foundation of Legazpi, headed by the no less than our chairman, Dr. Jimenez, and the president also of our two colleges in Naga, Dr. Ampuan, and also for the community who will be representing the community as well is Tabang Bicol. Now, it's as I said, it's mixed feelings for all of us. Who would ever think that we will get to meet each other in a very impersonal way? Impersonal because, as you can see, we are not together in one open space. We are now restricted by there's actually no restriction. No? It's a borderless forum right now, and this gives us a mixed feeling because um, much as we would want to reach out to everybody, be very personal, especially during this crisis. I think this is the moment that we will have to see each other. Who would ever think that we will see each other now through very small screen like this? Never did we think about this moment that we will get to meet each other through the screen. But just like anything else, and I'd like my team now to flash on the screen my presentation. It's going to be a very brief open statement just to lay down the rationale and the objectives of this forum. So team, please, can we start our presentation? At this time, of course, we are in a crisis situation. And can we have the presentation now uh, to our team? Can we flash it? Uh, okay, so as we wait for the, can we have it, Conrad? Okay, as we wait for the the presentation to be flashed, let me just proceed. Of course, this is a we are in a crisis situation, and in Chinese, crisis means weiji. Crisis is translated as weiji. Wei means um, it is means threats, it means dangers, but G also means opportunities. So very Filipino of us, are resilient people. We are very hopeful as a people. And with this forum that we have initiated for Mariners Polytechnic Colleges Foundation, we'd like to see really that the whole rainbow, but more in that mode of the positive side. And the G comes here in terms of the opportunities that we have right now. And the opportunity is actually the opportunity for us to collaborate. Before, it used to be, there's a lot of competition. Marami pong competition sa ating lahat, no? Public, even private. And this time, we all know that our challenge right now is um, our challenge is how to keep education, how to keep the learning, the continuity of learning proceed. So we are very much challenged. How do we collaborate with each other? Of course, on top of this is what is the role of the LGU in making sure that the continuity of learning, continuity of education is there. We all know that the challenge is that we're talking of in the whole world, we're talking of about 1.1 billion who are affected. These are all learners in the whole world. And in the Philippines, now we still do not have, okay, and here in the Philippines, we're talking of about 20 million of learners who are endangered, who are actually in danger of not going back to school. We know how private schools are also crying for help because there is an expected influx of students who will be going to public schools rather than the private schools. But this is no time for just thinking of where they will go to the public or to private schools like us. I think at the end of the day, what we really need to do is collaborate, and this is one big lesson that we have learned now. Um, we were all pushed to our small squares, to our small rooms during this quarantine period. And okay, sorry, I think we're having wait. Sorry, I think we were having problem. Can we have the so this goes with the crisis actually. Um, I think there's a problem with the screen that has to flash the presentation. But anyway, as we move on, it is important now that we collaborate with each other. And at the end of this, forum, what do we really want to achieve? So let me just go through this very quickly. Um, well, we do not see this here. Okay. At the end of this forum is we would want to have everybody collaborate with each other. And of course, we recognize the major role that the LGU plays in this situation. And we cannot also proceed with the guidance of our regulatory agencies, especially CHED, especially DepEd, and of course, because this is a health issue during this health crisis, we all need the guidance of the Department of Health. So towards the end of this forum, we would like to forge that collaboration among the different stakeholders. And with the role that we play here, we hope that we can, the value of small packages actually comes in. There's no longer an issue of how big you are as a university, how small you are as a school or a college or a senior high school at that. It is actually how we would collaborate with each other and make sure that there is going to be a continuity of education, continuity of learning in our community. Here in Albay, here in Legazpi, we all know that, and in the provinces generally, we talk of Bicol as one of the most impoverished regions in the country, and we all know that if education stops, of course, that little hope that our community, that our parents, that our students have, so that their lives, the quality of lives will improve. We do not want to see that just vanish in thin air. So our dear brothers and sisters, tayo po lahat dito, we would want to just initiate this discussion. And with the help of our LGU, with Mayor Rosal, and the different agencies representatives here, we hope that this will, at least we will have to make little steps and other steps, bigger steps later, bolder steps of that, so that we will make this dream come true. So, Diyos marhay na aga po sa inyong labas. So, James, can we now proceed to the, okay, James? James, can you hear me? Mukhang may problem lang tayo technically. James? James?
Okay, we would like to apologize for some technical adjustments that we had. This is really part of the new normal, I suppose. Anyway, to keep us going, thank you very much, Madam Merly Jimenez and Pedro, for the insights given to us, especially for the primary purpose of this virtual forum. So at this point, may we now have the discussions, and we will be following this order. The first to present will be the Honorable Mayor Rosal, the representative, to be followed by the representative of the DOH, then to be followed by the Commission on Higher Education, and then the Department of Education. So now, may we request, you may have now the floor, the Honorable Noel E. Rosal, uh, Mayor of Legazpi City and Chairman of Bicol Regional Disaster Council. Sir, we are still, okay.
Good morning.
May we now have the
Hello,
presentation of the, yes, sir, yes, sir.
good
Your,
morning.
good morning, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Hello.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. You're coming loud and clear, sir.
Uh, Actually, I agree with the president of the Mariners Polytechnic for the initial statement that we have really to move on, and
ano mo ha?
we, sh-
Email mo?
we should prepare na. We should prepare now as the latest meeting of the
Eden,
president of the people of Legazpi, of the Philippines, I mean, the other night about the intention of the president with a meeting with the Department of Education and CHED that there are some precautionary measures being undertaken, especially for our children's safety. So likewise, local government should now prepare. Like for Legazpi, we are also preparing both for the private and public schools because it will really be a dilemma more on the public school, not more on the private because families can afford or if there will be an online proposal or proposals from the private administrations of schools. So today, as we discuss this very important topic right now, of what we should do with our educational system in the Philippines as a whole, not only in Bicol. I do agree that the pandemic will stay, not until or unless a vaccine will be discovered. So we have really to prepare now for the new normal. Not only the wearing of masks or always the proper hygiene, but more so on our daily lives. So that's part of it will be the education, the continuing education of our people, especially the young ones. So with this, I did not prepare really a presentation. Just wanna explain to you what the plans of the city pertaining to this. So there are two types of course schools right now, both from the public and private. So both from the private, we have the tertiary, and we have the secondary, and of course the primary. So on this private, which Mariners belong, so we will support whatever is the plan in congruence or in coordination with CHED for the tertiary and for the DepEd for the elementary and up to the K to 12 program, the senior high school. So meaning if the DepEd and the CHED will now give the go signal to start August 24, which is the target, we shall also make some adjustment relative to which is the support of the local government, the traffic, the peace and order, and of course the establishment of checkpoints for the new normal to ensure the safety of our young people. No? And number two, for the public school, I have already met the local school board of what we shall do, especially that the students and pupils of the private or of the public school cannot afford online. Almost, although there are some, especially in the city proper, but in the far-flung barangays, it will be very hard. Not only the availability of the gadgets or the laptop or any form of computer set, but more so on the internet. No? That's why this is now being undertaken by the DepEd National of how we can do about this. Now, going back to the stand or role of the local government, as made mention by uh, later on, a while ago, that the role of the local government is to support first, of course, the public school in terms of whatever fund available for the special education fund, which is mandated by law. So, meaning we should now allocate funds for the new normal, such as the online and other services. Number two, for the private. So the local government being the lowest or the direct contact with the schools throughout the country, they should also prepare budget for how we can cope up with the present normal times, the new normal. Like as I've said, we have to augment also the people outside, like the police, our public safety officers, and of course the infrastructure. Now we have to ensure that because of the new normal, although it will be an online, if ever, we have to ensure that nobody goes out if that permitted by the law created by the IATF. So under this level, I would like again to assure, as representing now, not only as the mayor or from the local government, but assure RDC chair that we are ready to receive any form of support or needed uh, legislative or support from the RDC in order to cope up with this present time wherein we need to adapt to the new normal. So we need other requirements and so as not to sacrifice the quality of education of our people, our students. So I'm open now later on for some discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Mayor Noel E. Rosal of Legazpi City Local Government Unit. At this point, may we now call in for the presentation of the Department of Health Regional Office 5, Mr. Joseph Steven B. Penol, the HEPO 2. Sir?
All right, sir. Thank you po.
Okay, sir, you may now proceed po, sir.
Okay, so good morning everyone to our Honorable Mayor Noel Irosal and of course to our academe partners both in the public and the private higher education institutions and also to our other stakeholders. May nakita po ako from our Diocese of Legazpi and also to the host of this activity, Sir Cordero, and to the Mariners Polytechnic Colleges Foundation. Thank you very much for this opportunity that you have given us to discuss about this new normal. So can I proceed now po with the presentation?
Yes, sir, you may proceed po.
So next slide, sir. Thank you. All right. So basically, the content of the presentation is about the new normal. So sa totoo lang naman po, hindi naman po talaga ito new or bago sa atin. Kaya lang po, ito po ay mga highlights or hina-highlight po ng new normal itong mga kaugalian na dapat po nating ma-practice in terms of prevention po ng COVID-19. So the presentation contains the premise, the principles, the key components, and the settings. So pinick up po natin yung settings na school. So next po. So the premise of the new normal, so the enhanced community quarantine, binigyan po tayo ng pagkakataon ang health system para hindi po tumaas ng sobra yung mga kaso ng COVID-19 at nang sa gayon po ay mabigyan po ng pagkakataon yung ating health system na makapaghanda para po sa pagresponde sa COVID-19. So, sa early part po nitong pandemic, ang infection rate po or R naught, ito po yung bilang ng tao na pwedeng mahawaan ng isang kumpirmadong kaso. So, sa una pong stage nitong pandemic is nasa 2 po siya. Ibig sabihin, ang isang positibong COVID-19 case ay pwedeng makahawa ng 2 tao. Pero sa ngayon po, ang kasalukuyang R naught or infection rate ng COVID-19 ay nasa 1.5 po. So, sir, can we go back, sir, to the previous slide? Thank you. Okay, sir. Thank you. So the lifting of the enhanced community quarantine is inevitable but must be done gradually. So with the lifting of our community quarantine, we should prepare and we should practice yun pong mga tinatawag natin na minimum health standards po natin. So mamaya, iisa-isahin po natin kung ano po yung mga components na yon ng minimum health standards under the new normal. So next presentation, sir. Okay. So the principles of the new normal, number one is it is evidence-based preventive measures. So should be the basis of our new normal when the community quarantine is lifted po. So alam naman po natin kung paano po natatransmit and well-informed po tayo kung paano po naipapasa itong COVID-19. So ito pong mga preventive measures po na to, ang tawag po natin sa kanila ay non-pharmaceutical interventions. Nangangahulugan po, hindi po ito gumagamit ng gamot or kahit na anong bakuna sa ngayon para masugpo po itong COVID-19. So ang mga non-pharmaceutical interventions po, ito po ay mga pagbabago or modifications sa atin pong physical environment o kaya naman po ay mga pagbabago sa proseso kung paano po natin ginagawa ang mga bagay-bagay para po masugpo po natin itong COVID-19. Next po. So the new normal, ang hina-highlight po nito is yung consciousness natin or kamalayan po natin sa bawat aspeto po ng ating buhay patungkol po sa kalusugan. So hina-highlight po dito yung mga dati na hindi natin masyadong ginagawa pero ngayon kailangan na po siyang gawin. So ano po yun? So dati hindi po tayo nagsusuot ng mask. Pero ngayon po, paglalabas tayo ng bahay or kung may nararamdaman po tayong sintomas, ay kailangan po magsuot po tayo ng mask. Also, dati po hindi po popular yung tinatawag po nating phone consultation or telemedicine. Pero sa ngayon po, parang ito po yung nagiging trend na ng ating mga consultation. Also, mas pinaigting po ngayon yung mga paalala and preventive measures para po sa ating mga kababayan na meron pong mga vulnerable po or meron pong mga high risk conditions. So sila po kasi yung sabi ng WHO, sila po yung may chance na pwedeng magkaroon ng malalang sintomas kung magkaroon po sila ng COVID-19. And also, itong mga preventive measures or mga etiquette na kung dati ay binabaliwala po natin, pero sa ngayon po ay kinakailangan na po natin gawin. So next slide po. So yan po yung mga behavior na hina-highlight po. Number 3 po na principles ng new normal ito po ay resetting and making practices more efficient. So, and easier for the people to do. So, hindi po dapat nating tingnan itong mga practices or behavior under the new normal as another layer of complexity or panibagong dagdag burden sa atin, kundi kailangan natin siyang tingnan as uh, highlighting or pagbabago sa ating mga kaugalian para po mas matugunan natin or mas malabanan natin ang COVID-19 at our level po sa individual po. So kailangan po dito ng pagbabago sa ating kaugalian or behavior change. Na alam naman po natin, hindi po ito mangyayari sa lalong madaling panahon kung hindi po natin makikita kung ano po yung kahalagahan po nito para sa atin. So next po. So dahil po dyan, ang ating pong pang-apat na principles ay ang pagpapaigting ng mga mensahe at paggamit ng iba't ibang channels available, pakikipag-coordinate sa iba't ibang sectors para po mas mapalagana pa itong mga mensahe natin about sa new normal. Kasi nga po, ang new normal ay dahil isa siyang behavioral change, so hindi po siya mangyayari overnight, it will take time. So, importante po na mapaintindi natin sa ating mga kababayan kung ano po ang kahalagahan nito at kung paano po ito makakatulong sa ating laban po sa COVID-19. So, next po. So, the components of the new normal, meron po siyang 5. Number 1 po is reducing vulnerability. So, in other words, increasing the resilience of one's health. Number 2, reducing transmission. Number 3 is reducing contact. Number 4, reducing the duration of infection. And number 5 is accountability or accountability po. Opo. So, punta po tayo dito sa number 1, so reducing vulnerability. So, papasok po dito yung healthy lifestyle. So, yung mga kinakain po natin, dapat yung choice po natin ng pagkain, dapat healthy foods po yung ating piliin. Also, ang exercise po, dapat everyday meron po tayong physical activity not less than 15 minutes per day po. And also, ang intake po natin ng water should be not less than 1.5 liters per day. Also po, ang tulog po natin should be 6 to 8 hours po bawat araw. So with that, may increase po natin yung ating resilience and mababawasan po natin yung ating vulnerability para di po tayo kaagad-agad madapuan ng COVID-19. Number 2 naman po is reducing transmission. So babawasan natin yung tsansa na kumalat or matransmit po yung COVID-19. So dito po papasok yung mga preventive measures natin na medyo choppy daw po yung signal. Opo. So malinaw po ba sa lahat yung audio po natin?
Yes, sir. Clear naman po.
Sa amin malinaw naman po.
Yes,
Thank you po.
yes.
Thank you po. So number 2 po is, ito po yung paulit-ulit po nating sinasabi na mga hakbang or mga paalala sa ating mga kababayan na dapat nating gawin
Teka
para
lang, kanina
yung...
pa ako na, Diyos ko na.
Yes po. May question po? Okay po, I'll proceed po. So ito po yung paghuhugas ng kamay ng not less than 20 seconds, proper hygiene, cough etiquette, regular disinfection po ng mga bagay na madalas nating hawakan, and also yung paggamit po ng personal protective equipment katulad po ng mask po. So next po, ang ating pong pangatlong component is reducing contact. So dito po papasok yung ating physical distancing, reducing personnel, reducing face-to-face contact. Sa school po, siguro papasok po dito yung pagkakaroon po natin ng mga alternative modes of learning na hindi na kailangan ng face-to-face contact. So reducing contact po also reduces the chance that COVID-19 will spread po. And number 4, reducing duration of infection. So dito po papasok ang early identification and referral and also management mechanism ng isang institution kung paano niya po madidetect and mare-refer yung mga tao na may sintomas ng COVID-19. And also, lastly po, and it is, I think po, the most important component because all of the previously mentioned components will be dependent upon what will be the organizational policies and investments and also what will be the enabling environment for the previously mentioned components to be implemented in one's institution po. So importante po dito yung commitment ng management, commitment ng higher executives ng isang institution kung private or ng ating mga local chief executive po. So importante po siya dito sa ikalimang component. So next po, okay, so ito po yung example ng isang um, uh, application ng isang minimum health standards para sa isang setting. Di ba po meron tayong nabanggit na 5? Okay po. Sige nga po, magbanggit nga po kayo ng isang components ng new normal. Pwede pong pa-chat po kung meron po tayong natandaan sa previous discussion po. Ano po yung 5 components ng new normal? Pwede niyo pong i-chat. Okay, so reduce vulnerability. Okay, reduce vulnerability. Okay, so thank you po for the response. So ito po yung isang example ng kung paano po may implement yung mga components po na yun ng new normal sa isang setting. Kunwari po, or for example po, dito po sa school. So meron po diyang objectives. Yan po mga objectives, yan na po yung ating mga components. And yung mga nasa baba po niya, yan po yung mga minimum health standards or non-pharmaceutical interventions, modifications, or process improvements po sa ating mga facility kung paano po natin siya mai-implement. So, pinakita ko po sa inyo para meron po kayong example. This is settings-based. So, iba't ibang settings, merong pagkakapareho or merong pagkakaiba, depende po sa kanyang risk po. And also, ang magiging constant po dito is yung number 5, which is we mentioned po na very important yung ating governance and accountability po. So yung mga policies, yung mga enabling environments po is dyan po papasok sa ating objective number 5. So with that po, I will end now with the presentation po with the final message po natin na ang COVID-19 kahit po tayo ay pinapayagan na lumabas po sa ating mga tahanan, especially po doon sa ating mga authorized sectors or groups na pinapalabas na po sa kanilang tahanan, kailangan pa rin po nating maintindihan na ang banta or threat po ng COVID-19 ay nandyan po pa rin sa ating paligid. Dahil po dyan, kailangan po natin i-observe ang mga minimum health standards po natin sa kung anumang settings po tayo nandoon or naroon para po ma-mitigate natin or ma-suppress natin yung pag-spread po ng COVID-19. Maraming salamat po.
Okay, thank you very much, Sir Pinol, for that extensive discussion. And definitely we have learned a lot from it. And the next discussant is the representative from the Commission on Higher Education, Regional Office 5. Let us welcome Dr. Pamela S. Viñas, Education Supervisor 2. Madam.
Good morning. Yes,
Hi,
I'm
ma'am.
here.
Good morning.
Yes, the Honorable Noel Irosol, Mayor of Legazpi, Honorable Merlis Jimenez and Pedro, President, Dr. Jimenez, Dr. Ambuan, and the members of the Board of Trustees of Mariners Polytechnic Colleges Foundation of Legazpi City, Albay, Incorporated, school heads and officials of the MPCF community and the higher education institutions in Region 5, friends from the media, fellow panelists and reactors, dear parents, students, and the community of Region 5, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. At the outset, let me thank Mariners, Polytechnic College's Foundation of Legazpi for this brilliant idea of a virtual forum to push for more collaboration and cooperation among stakeholders for the general welfare and safety of the learners. CHED appreciates your effort to bring education and continuity of learning as part of our recovery program within the context of this pandemic. It is just unfortunate that our regional director, Dr. Freddy T. Bernal, is in an equally significant event today. As you know, as the head of our office, he has been having his hands full. By next week, trainings on flexible learning will be on full swing. For heads of HEIs who are here, I can see some of them here. We hope that you have already nominated your faculty members to the fast tracking of the retooling of HEIs on flexible learning in Region 5 for Education 4.0 for the academic year 2020-2021. This is a project of the Bicol Consortium for Higher Education, or BFHE, and is funded by the Commission on Higher Education. By the way, BFHE is composed of all the HEIs in Bicol region, so we are actually all part of it. Similarly, recently, CHED launched PHL Connect, which forms part of the Commission's commitment to flexible learning for the continuity of higher education in the country. Through the PHL CHED Connect, an open educational resources, or OERs platform will be accessible and shared to all higher education institutions across the country. This is an online portal that contains higher education course materials in text, media, and other digital assets that are useful for teaching, learning, and research purposes. Then, of course, we also have CHED's Higher Education, or HIED Bayanihan Project, which encourages HEIs to help one another, plus many more online meetings and public consultations going on because we are all trying to adapt to the new normal. Needless to say, with the opening of classes nearing, CHED's hands are indeed full. So, representing our regional director and the Commission on Higher Education Regional Office 5, as introduced earlier, I am Maria Pamela Sora Viñas, Education Supervisor 2 of CHED, Supervisor for Health and Alternate for Maritime Education, and the focal person for Student Affairs and Services. This morning, CHED has been invited to share the policies and guidelines on our present situation. Okay, you can see now my slide there. Okay, okay. So next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. The higher education institutions, operations, and work arrangements. In areas under ECQ, MECQ, and GCQ, HEIs are advised to observe the following: suspension of face-to-face or in-person classes until further directives from the IATF or issuance of the proper government authority that the province or city will be under MGCQ. Next slide. For HEIs which intend to offer summer classes, midterm and or mid-year intersession shall only be for the following students: graduating students who need to complete their academic requirements, students whose subjects are scheduled in the summer under the PSG of their degree program or within the curriculum or policies and guidelines of the program. They have been enrolled, and students taking graduate studies. This is important. Only HEIs with capability for full online learning will be allowed to conduct summer classes. In fact, summer classes are ongoing now for some schools, but they did write CHED earlier on to prove that they can provide really full online classes. Okay, next slide. For OJT, or on-the-job trainings and internship programs, foreign and local, they still remain suspended until ECQ, MECQ, GCQ, and MGCQ has been lifted. However, for higher education institutions in MGCQ areas, in-campus OJT and internship programs can be authorized provided there is strict compliance with physical distancing and other health protocols. Next slide. Opening of classes. The opening of classes for academic year 2020-2021 shall be based on the HEI's delivery mode, subject to compliance with minimum health standards and the situation on the ground. HEIs using full online education can open anytime after May 31, 2020. HEIs using flexible learning can open anytime in August 2020. HEIs using significant face-to-face or in-person mode can open no earlier than September 1, 2020. For this purpose, all HEIs who are using the old academic calendar, which means June to May, are encouraged to change their academic year and open in August 2020 or later in the year. Next slide. HEIs should prepare for the opening of the academic year 2020-2021 by undertaking the following: preparation of the HEI's facilities to comply with minimum health standards, such as mandatory wearing of masks, hand washing and sanitation practices, safe physical distancing, reconfiguration of classroom spaces, provision of markers in public places, prohibition of mass gathering, among others. Consultation with local health officials and the LGUs to determine the health situation in the locality, availability of public transportation, and other support services necessary for the operation of the HEIs. In consultation with stakeholders, preparation of a contingency or a continuity plan as to the precautionary and other health protocols in case there are suspected or confirmed cases. Next slide. Adoption of flexible learning strategy or mode in delivering instruction by ensuring appropriate facility delivery system, faculty complement, and student support. As I mentioned earlier, the BFHE, funded by the Commission on Higher Education, will be starting the trainings next week. So this is funded by the Commission on Higher Education and supervised and sponsored by the BFHE, where all of the schools in Region 5 are members. So again, I remind all of the presidents, heads of the different HEIs present today, please nominate the faculty members who are supposed to attend these trainings. Next slide, please. In coordination with local health officials and the local government unit, implementation of any of the following flexible enrollment procedures: online enrollment and payment through remittance services. Scheduling of students will be allowed to enroll on any given day. Opening of satellite enrollment sites as practicable. Other similar arrangements to limit the number of students allowed at any given time and ensure safe physical distance. Next slide. Mass gatherings are still prohibited. HEIs are prevented from conducting in-person graduation ceremonies and other school activities until the prohibition for mass gathering is lifted. State universities and colleges shall operate under alternative work arrangements as the SUCs may deem proper in accordance with the relevant rules and regulations issued by the Civil Service Commission. Private HEIs are advised to follow the guidelines of government agencies such as the Department of Labor and Employment as regards to the deployment of its faculty and its staff. Next. In areas under GCQ, or some member schools of CHED, which are still under GCQ, HEIs are advised to observe following guidelines. HEIs are authorized to operate with a skeleton workforce exclusive for the following purposes: to accept submission of requirements for the second semester, issue credentials to graduating students, and prepare for the opening of classes during using the flexible learning modes, and to provide essential services to its clients. Next, assign skeleton workforce, but must not be any of the following: below 21, above 60, pregnant, or with existing medical condition or comorbidities, except when indispensable for work under prevailing circumstances and public health standards as prescribed by the DOH, and such related protocols or guidelines issued by the proper government authority shall have been applied or complied with at all times by the HEIs concerned. The HEI shall facilitate and or ensure that transportation services and personal protective equipment are provided to its skeleton workforce. Next, for students, for their welfare and concerns, HEIs are advised to establish a clear communication plan to their students and HEI personnel, especially among grantees of scholarship programs, to ensure that urgent and significant concerns are addressed. HEIs are encouraged to communicate and transact using non-face-to-face, such as through online and social media platforms, phone, email, and or courier services, among others. HEI shall inform their students and HEI personnel on the enrollment process and specific education delivery mode that they will implement for the academic year 2020-2021, no later than 1 week before the enrollment period. The enrollment process and education delivery mode shall be reported to the regional offices of CHED. Next. HEI shall respect the decision of families not to send their children to school due to concerns about their safety. If needed, HEIs may revise their academic policies, such as the policy on maximum residence, to ensure that students' academic standing or status in the program is not disadvantaged. HEI shall work with local government units to facilitate contacts with their students in areas where public transportation is not fully operational and to assist in bringing educational materials and information to their students. HEI shall allow and assist foreign students who wish to return to their home countries and agree on the alternative educational and learning mode to be adopted for them to complete their academic requirements for the current term and the incoming academic year. Next slide. CHED strongly advises HEIs to refer and continue to observe above instructions stipulated and previously issued under CHED Advisories 1 to 6. So as of this time, the Commission on Higher Education is exercising leniency on many of our guidelines. However, we ask all the HEIs to write CHED prior to any change that you wish to do in your HEIs. Our final word: wash hands, stay distant, wear your mask, and stay safe. You can ask questions later, but you can also email us at chedro5@ched.gov.ph. And we also have our Facebook account, Ched Regional Office 5. And there is also there my email. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Pamela Viñas of the Commission on Higher Education Regional Office 5. Okay, so at this point, we will now hear from the representative of the Department of Education Regional Office 5, Dr. Roy T. Banyas of the Policy Planning and Research Division.
Okay, thank you very much, Sir Stephen James.
Yes,
Can you
sir.
hear me now po? Can
Yes,
you hear
sir.
me
Yes,
loud
sir.
and clear? Okay, thank you.
Loud and clear po, sir.
First of all, my highest respect to our Honorable Noel E. Rosal, the City Mayor of Legazpi, the President of the MPCF Legazpi, Madam Merly Jimenez San Pedro. Thank you for the gift of invitation. To our co-panel discussants, the representative from the DOH5, the representative from the CHED-RO5, Dr. Binyas, and of course to our panel reactors, to Madam Bilien from the parent sector, from the students, from our media practitioners, our media friends. Special mention to our Reverend Father Joseph Salando, who I saw him here in the virtual forum. To the representative from the community, of course, Madam Evita Jimenez Tuason of the Tabang Bicol, from the participating schools, the administrators, school directors, school heads, faculty, students, both from public and private across all grade levels. Good morning and Diyos marhay na pagkaaga po sa Satuyaga Boss. It is indeed my pleasure, great honor indeed, I should say, to represent our Director of DepEd-RO5, Dr. Gilbert T. Sadsad, who is having an equally important virtual conference right now with the Bicol IATF to discuss this morning the Bicol Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan for the opening of classes for school year 2020-2021. So under the mantra, Padagos ang Pagkanood, we would like to impart to all the participants of this virtual forum what is in store for DepEd as we go along implementing the different programs, projects, activities for the benefit of our learners this coming school year. So next slide, please. So my presentation this morning is actually divided into two parts. First, I have to discuss in part to all our viewers, participants, the status of our regional enrollment uh, for all sectors. This is very recent, as of July 17, generated at around 8 a.m. And then the second part of my presentation would be along the DepEd Bicol Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan, or Padagos and Pagkanood. In English, education must continue. Next slide, please. Allow me, friends, to share the total enrollment by level of education for the last school year 2019-2020. As you can see here, flashing on screen, the total enrollment of Bicol region for last school year 2019-2020. We are at around 1,843,540. So it was distributed to kindergarten, elementary, junior, high school, senior high school, as well as the ALS, or the Alternative Learning System. Next slide, please. If we are to break it further, for public schools, we have a total of 1,616,670 enrollees. For private, we only have 164,771. For SUPS, we have 4,315. So all in all, we have 1,785,756 total enrollment as of last school year along formal education. We add up our enrollees for ALS, or the Alternative Learning System, around 57,000 plus, so giving us if 1,843,540. So just to give you, my friends, a context of what is the total enrollees of our region last school year. For public, the sharing, for in terms of sharing of enrollment, we have an 87.69% learners in public as of last school year, while 8.94% of it, the total 1.8 million goes to private sector. Next slide, please. So today, as of July 17 at 8 o'clock, ito na po yung ating current status of our regional enrollment. It Following DepEd Order Number 3 Series of 2020 on the enrollment process for school year 2020-2021, our enrollment actually ended last July 15. But it doesn't mean that we will stop from there. Continuously po tayong tumatanggap, I should say, na mga learners kasi we also accept pa rin mga late enrollees natin. But as of today, July 17, 8 a.m., we have already registered a total of 1,545,434 enrollees across all sectors. Sa kindergarten, we have already registered 100,247. For kinder, we have 715,000 plus. For junior, 489. For senior high school, 196,000 and all others. So for public, we have already a total of 1,475,755 while in private, nasa 69,679 na po yung na-register natin. So if we are to further analyze it, out of 1,545,434 enrollees that we have registered as of today, 88.86% of it goes to public schools, meaning all DepEd supervised schools. Nasa 1,436,575 na po sila. While the 42.29% of our registered enrollees for school year 2020-2021 goes to our private sectors. Out of the 164,771 enrollees as of last school year, meron na po tayo ngayong 69,679 and still counting. Kasi we are not yet closing our enrollment for this particular school year. Then for SUCs, LUCs, our universities, colleges in the region, we have a total share of 44.66%. Meaning out of 4,000 plus learners natin, last school year, nasa 1,900 plus na po tayo ngayong araw na to. So, and still counting. And then the rest was distributed to the others. So, given this picture, we have already chartered 83.83% of the total enrollees for as of today, comparing it to the total enrollment of last school year at around 1.8 million. So it's a very good figure, I should say, my friends, that as of today, 83.83% na po tayo. And we still hope to reach at least 100% before August 24. Next slide, please. So that's about our enrollment for school year 2021 as we compare it to the official enrollment data for school year 2019-2020. Just to give you a glimpse of what DepEd is currently implementing or currently charting all the enrollment process for this particular school year. May I now proceed to the DepEd BICO Learning Continuity Plan. So as I have said, we are operating under a battle cry, padagos ang pagkanoon, or education must continue. Even in the midst of the pandemic brought by the novel coronavirus or the COVID-19, the Department of Education is determined to deliver education to every learner in the Philippines and of course in Bicol region while adjusting to the new normal. DepEd developed the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan or Program, in short BELCP, in accordance to its constitutional mandate and to take appropriate steps to make quality, accessible, relevant, and liberating basic education accessible to all. Next slide, please. And just to give you a context how DepEd came up with this BELCP, we'd like to inform everyone that the content of our LCP was a product of the mapping which was conducted by the men and women of DepEd. We map out learners in close coordination with barangay officials and residents. We conducted also assessment of needs in special education. We conducted survey on the number of learners with access to the internet or signal in their household and or with portable electronic device and or laptop computer, radio, and television, and those who need printed instructional packets. We also map the barangays where learners are residing, including local learning venues like local libraries. We also conducted survey on parents, guardians' capability, and willingness to assist learners at home. So all this putting into one plan is a product of this mapping and surveys that DepEd conducted in order for us to come up with this particular BELCP. Next slide, please. Just to give you a glimpse of how the initial result of our learner enrollment in survey information summary, or LESF. This is a data gathering tool being presented by the enrolling public. We would like to inform everyone that out of the total 1.1 million incoming learners na po registered online, we came up with this figure around 400,000 plus, or 460,515 um, parents, to be exact, signify that they wanted the modular approach or modality as they preferred the modular distance learning as a modality for their children to learn. So with this, we were able to prepare prepare a plan for this, and and form it part of our existing BELCP for this current school year. Next to the modular is the combination with other modalities. There are 269,106 parents who said that they wanted the combination. Aside from having modular, they also wanted to have combination of the modular with television, radio, etc. To form part the learning modalities as their preference for their children. So a total of 116,779 said that they preferred online as a modality of learning for their children. So at this point, with this information survey that we have gathered, and we can say that really in Bicol region, modular or printed learning materials, or the so-called self-learning modules, is the main modality that DepEd will implement for all its public schools for this coming school year 2020-2021. The LESF, or the Learner Enrollment and Survey Form, are still being documented as of this moment. We are not yet stopping. As I have said earlier, enrollment still going on. And hand in hand with it, the collection, the data gathering on the information surveys are still being collected for us to fully account all the LESFs of the enrolling public. For us to have a better informed decisions and data-driven policies to be implemented for the coming school year. So next slide, please. So under our learning continuity plan, we came up with this LCP framework. As we go along implementing our basic education learning continuity plan under the new normal, we wanted to have a framework for everyone to understand, even if our local communities would be able to read this framework, mas maintindihan po nila. We simplify it so that everyone, every parent, every learner would be able to understand how DepEd Bicol is implementing the learning continuity program for this particular school year. So we came up with this LCP framework under the mantra that DepEd Bicol cares, shares, and serves with a smile. So next slide, please. So with that, we were able to come up with a SMILE framework as we are about to implement and open the school year 2020-2021. We wanted everyone to understand that SMILE should be our mantra or the framework for implementing our learning continuity plan for this particular school year. So SMILE stands for security and safety, the modalities of learning, the in-service training, the learning resources, and of course, last but not the least, the engagement of stakeholders. So with SMILE, mas matatandaan po ng ating mga learners, ng ating mga kabataan, ng ating komunidad, na ito yung ating community, yung ating learning continuity plan for this particular school year. So next slide, please. Under SMILE, we would like to establish, under SMILE, I mean, the letter S stands for safety and security. And we want to establish an environment that is conducive and safe for learning, and in consideration of minimum health standards and protocols against COVID-19 and other infectious diseases. We also would like to ensure that all learners are enrolled and provided with continuous opportunities for learning. So under the battle cry, Padagos ang pagkanood, we really want to ensure that education must continue without sacrificing the safety and security or compromising the safety and security of our learners. That's why we form it part of our LCP framework for this particular school year. We would like that every learners, we would like to ensure that all learners enrolled for this particular school year should be provided or will be provided with continuous opportunities for learning without compromising their health. Under M of the SMILE framework, it stood for Modalities of Learning. We wanted to implement the appropriate learning modality in every school in consideration of existing or possible risks. That's why in our discussion earlier, we came up with an enrollment survey of which the LCP of Bicol region was anchored in. So we noticed that of majority of our parents, our learners wanted to have the modular printed materials or printed learning materials to be the main modality of learning for their children. That's why we also came up with that particular plan. As of now, the regional office is having the uh, bidding process for the modules to be distributed to all divisions in the region. So again, letter I of the SMILE framework, which stands for in-service training, we wanted to provide capacity to teachers on the implementation of different learning modalities, as well as the socio-emotional aspects of teaching in the new normal. Like what our counterpart from the higher education has said earlier, they will be training their faculties in the tertiary level along the context of the new normal. The same manner, in the same way that DepEd is currently doing. In fact, as of today, we're having a mass training for all our school heads muna. Then sunod na yung mga teachers as we go along implementing the different in-service training for this particular teaching force in DepEd to be acquainted with the new normal. Marami na tayong pagdadaanan ng mga pagbabago. Gone are the days na merong face-to-face, di po ba, na teaching learning process. So we really wanted to equip, upskill our faculties, our teachers, for them to be able to be acquainted to and be adapted to the new normal of implementing the teaching learning process. So DepEd is currently embarking on that particular activity or program to retool and upskill all our teachers down the line. Then L, under the SMILE framework, which stands for learning resources. We have to ensure availability of and access to learning resources which are appropriate and adaptive to different learning modalities. That's why we have a lot of learning resources available in the portal of DepEd. So part of it, hindi lang po yung mga pinoprocure ni DepEd na learning resources, but of course, they are made readily available in the learning portals being managed by DepEd for everyone in DepEd, teachers, learners, parents, community to access, especially in the process of implementing this current school year in learning the different subjects, the different modalities to be used by our learners, and of course with the guidance of our parents. Last but not the least, under the SMILE framework is the engagement of stakeholders. This is very important. 2020-2021 school year is quite different from the past school years that we have been through. 2021, we have to embrace the new normal. And we really wanted to uh, engage the responsibilities, the roles of our stakeholders. We always say, as we talk about education, that really it takes village to educate a child. Providing education for our learners is not the sole responsibility of DepEd. We always emphasize that. That's why we have here our local government units. We're lucky that in Legazpi City we have a very helpful mayor who always support the programs and projects of DepEd. So thank you very much, Mayor, for that. So Sir Mayor Rosal is always behind DepEd. So we really want to engage stakeholders in ascertaining learning continuity in schools. Next slide, please. So here, I will no longer siguro isa-isahin, but anuhin ko na lang yung mga slides na yan para makita rin po ng viewers natin. So under security and safety, we conducted remote enrollment. As we always say, while we are pushing through with the opening of classes for school year 2020-2021, we also wanted to ensure the safety and security of our learners, more so with our teachers. That's why we did not conduct face-to-face enrollment. We conducted instead remote enrollment through the use of the mass media. Meron tayong text, online enrollment, Facebook, Googles, etc. Yan po yung ginamit natin para makuha natin yung bilang ng mga batang papasok. Ma-encourage natin sila for this particular school. Next, security and safety. We also instructed our teachers to modify class programs. For information of everyone, yung ating pong nakasanayan in the past school years that we have been pushing through enrollment, marami po, masyadong puno yung ating mga subjects. Masyado po. We must admit, marami po tayong mga learning competencies na itinuturo. For this particular school year, I must say that of 100% learning competencies, we were able to chart at least 40% of it to our learners. That's why we have already instructed our teachers to have their class programs be modified. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. All still under security and safety, we wanted to have a safe learning environment. We have instructed our schools to continuously disinfect classrooms, even though there will be no face-to-face teaching learning process that will happen. But still, disinfection of classrooms still a mandate of DepEd to all our public schools. We have to make sure that hand washing facilities are available in schools with soap and water, alcohol. We also instructed to provide disinfectants and sanitizers at the school and classroom entrance. Provide drinking water to children, each children to bring their own drinking bottle, etc. So, yan po, nandyan po yung ating mga pinapatupad na mga alituntunin sa mga paaralan. Now we go to modalities of learning. This is one thing that I would like to emphasize. Kasi meron tayong pa rin na mga magulang na malaki ang mga agam-agam nila na si DepEd daw mag-face-to-face come August 24. That's why in my presentation of the enrollment as of today, medyo hindi natin ma-reach masyado yung 100%. So we attribute that doon sa mga parents na up to now, still may mga agam-agam pa rin po na baka mag-face-to-face si DepEd. Well, for information of all, we stood by the pronouncement of the President and of our beloved DepEd Secretary that come August 24, there will be no face-to-face teaching learning process that will happen. Next slide, please. So what are the different modalities of learning that DepEd 5 will implement? Andito po yon in one graphic presentation. We have the modular distance learning or the MDL. We also have the modular with TV, be it asynchronous or synchronous. We also have modular with radio. We have the modular in video lessons. We have the modular with big sister or big brother or peer tutor. And of course, we have the homeschooling. So pasadahan po natin yan isa-isa. Next slide, please. Along modular distance learning, we also want to ensure that learners do not report to school. So doon po sa ating mga magulang na may mga agam-agam na nagdadalawang isip na magpa-enroll, ito po yung ating kasagutan doon. Since doon lumalabas po sa ating mga surveys na majority of our parents wanted to have the modular or the printed or the MDL, modular distance learning, I should say, meaning there will be no face-to-face teaching learning process that will happen. Hence, learners will not, of course, report to school. Learning will take place at home with parents, guardians, older siblings, or a tutor. We will be distributing self-directed learning modules, activity sheets, worksheets, etc. that will be used by our learners. Next slide, please. Another modality of learning is the online distance learning or the ODL. It can be synchronous or asynchronous. In synchronous, learners have the needed gadgets and reliable internet connectivity. But don't mind this particular modality. Ano po, doon sa mga parents na may agam-agam na kailangan talaga pala bumili. No, we are not imposing that. Hindi po natin inoobliga yung mga estudyante na bumili ng mga gadgets because they will be doing this particular modality which is ODL synchronous. Meron po mga modality para doon po sa cannot buy one to do the online distance learning. As we said, as we always emphasize, all our modalities of learning are anchored on the survey that we have conducted. And we wanted to ensure that all our learners in Bicol region will be given the appropriate learnings or that will be taught of the learning competencies according to their preference. When we did our learning continuity plan, we have in mind the preference of our learners. So, and we have this one. Isa lang po ito, online distance learning or the synchronous. Next slide, please. We also have the so-called online distance learning asynchronous. Here, learners have the needed gadgets, of course, and reliable internet connectivity. But students are provided with content and tasks that they need to accomplish within a time frame using an online platform. There will also be an interaction, of course. And the teachers will check the learners' outputs and give feedbacks to the parents or guardians. This is, again, as I have said, I'd like to emphasize one of the different modalities of learning that our schools will be implementing for this particular school year. But it will not be imposed. Especially so if there are learners, part of our community that cannot or will not may not be able to have this requirement for us to do the online distance learning, be it synchronous or asynchronous. Next slide, please. Another modality of learning is the so-called blended learning. I have already stated in my explanation earlier that part of the survey which we have gathered, result of the survey I should say, is the combination. Aside from having the modality, parents also wanted to have some blended learning for their learners, for their children, I should say. So what is the so-called blended learning? So here in this particular modality, students learn along a path that leads to an integrated learning experience through a combination of modular distance learning and online synchronous, or modular distance learning and online asynchronous, modular distance learning and radio-based or television instruction, or online distance synchronous and asynchronous. So more will be implemented as we go along, pushing through with the school year 2020-21. Our teachers, we believe that they are very innovative. So there are lots of blended learning modality that could happen just for us to impart the learning competencies for our learners in Bicol region. Last but not the least modality that we wanted to implement for this current school year is the so-called homeschooling. Although for information of everyone, we have not yet received the complete guidelines for this particular modality as we are as we just submitted our comments, suggestions to the revision of the existing DepEd policy on homeschooling, but we have still provided this particular modality in my presentation, in our presentation. This is in anticipation of that particular revised guidelines to be issued soon, perhaps before the opening of school year 2020-21. Nevertheless, homeschooling modality, this is where our learners who are enrolled will be enrolled in accredited schools. Learning is facilitated by a qualified and trained learning facilitator who may be the parent or a tutor is available, subject to supervision by a regular teacher and by school. Homeschooling is no longer new to DepEd. We have been implementing that particular modality since then. But in this particular new normal that we'll be experiencing comes August 24, DepEd deemed it necessary to revise some provisions of that particular policy of DepEd along implementation of homeschooling. Hence, we are still waiting for the particular guidelines. Thank you. Next slide, please. Along in-service training. So we are done with the two uh, framework, ano po, with the two meaning under the SMILE framework, I should say. So we now come to SMILE, the third one. In-service training or the capability building and provision of technical assistance on learning delivery modality. So I have already stated earlier that up to this time, DepEd is now currently embarking on the different massive training of our teachers for them to be acquainted, be adept of the new normal as we are about to implement the school year 2020-2021. So next slide, please. Next slide, please. So we now come to learning resources, the second to the last uh, letter in the SMILE framework of the ni DepEd. So we wanted to ensure access to quality learning resources. As I have said, we conducted inventory of all available quality assured learning materials and resources for all types of learners, for all grade levels and learning area per quarter. We have already that. In fact, as I have said earlier, we are already in the process of bidding the particular printed materials to be distributed to all our schools before the opening of August 24. It may not be that complete, but at least we will have some token modules to be distributed. The rest will can follow. In fact, our regional director has already instructed all our schools division superintendents to provide the needed learning materials to be printed and distributed to all our learners, just to suffice the needed number of the learning materials that has to be used by our learners, at least for the first 4 weeks of quarter one of school year 2020-2021. So next slide, please. Still along learning resources, I have already stated earlier in my presentation that we have a lot of online learning resources wherein our teachers can access parallel learning materials or references, as well as our parents, our learners, for them to be able to learn the different learning competencies expected of them before the school year ends. So we have the so-called DepEd Commons, LR portals, Google Classroom, Edmodo, Paper, etc. All our public school teachers are well aware of this particular online learning resources being managed for free, access for free by DepEd. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. And now, the last but not the least letter under the SMILE framework is the engagement of stakeholders. We always emphasize this. We always acknowledge, we always emphasize, we recognize, I should say, the role of the private sectors in terms of implementing the different PAPs or the programs, activities, projects of DepEd. Like for this particular example that we're having the virtual forum, this is a very good avenue for partnership ni DepEd with the private sector. We are lucky, we're very thankful that MPCF Legazpi is always making us a part of their milestone. Kahit wala pang virtual conference noon. Talagang si DepEd laging sinasali na ni MPCF. Thank you, Madam San Pedro, for always inviting DepEd. So for this particular uh, slide along engagement of stakeholders, we wanted to inform parents, guardians about the opening of classes. We always wanted to coordinate with barangay officials and the local media, of course, our media friends. We always say, emphasize the need, the help that they always extend to DepEd in terms of advocating the BELCP of DepEd, especially for this particular coming school year. We always wanted to tap local health workers in orienting students and parents about the new normal, emphasize social distancing, proper hygiene, constant hand washing, wearing of face mask, and others. We solicit flyers, posters, etc. on safety measures against COVID-19. All these things, my friends, are part of the requirements and as we implement the 2020-21 school year with the help engagement, I should say, of our various stakeholders. Next slide, please. We also have this Brigada Escuela and other resource mobilization activities for us to prepare schools for the new normal. We want to enhance implementation of WASH in schools program. This is very important. Even if there will be no face-to-face teaching learning process that will happen, still we wanted to install all these health requirements ano po, as we are about to implement or open the school year 2020-2021. And of course, collaboration with stakeholders very important, especially yung sponsoring of internet connectivity, especially in areas that we have challenges along this line, internet connectivity. We also wanted to seek assistance of education partners. Example, we have here ABC Plus, Educo. Mabuti na dito si Tabang Bicol, Madam Evita Jimenez Tuason. Maybe we could partner ano po, in implementing different programs for our learners in Bicol. So next slide, please. So with that, I was able to impart to our listeners, our viewers, the basic education learning continuity plan of DepEd 5. And I leave you with the message of our Education Secretary, Madam Leonor Magtolis Briones, which she said, together we can face the challenges of the new normal with the virtues of the old normal: courage, faith, adventure, and discovery. So with that, for and on behalf of DepEd Bicol, for and on behalf of our Regional Director, Dr. Gilbert Sansad, I would like to say thank you very much to Mariners Polytechnic Colleges Foundation, Legazpi, for inviting us, for having this opportunity to impart to our sectors, for our community, students, parents, the basic education learning continuity plan of DepEd. Padagos po ang satuyang pagkanood. Salamat po, asin Diyos ang magbalos.
Thank you very much po, Dr. Roy T. Banyas, for that very enlightening message, especially coming from the DepEd Regional Office 5. At this point, we are supposed to have our forum immediately according to the program, but in order to give us some clearer guidance, we're going to show again only some of the highlights of the included in the slides of the President, Madam Merly Jimenez San Pedro, to further guide us in the conduct of the forum and to encourage more participation so that we will be able to get the best of the discussion. So may we present again the slides for Madam Merly Jimenez San Pedro.
Thank you, James. But this is going to be very quick. Let's just
Yes,
go
ma'am.
through the last three slides that we prepared. I think I'm taking the cue from the inputs of our representatives from DepEd, SHED, and DOH, but most especially on the engagement of stakeholders. So can we go to the next slide, please? So we heard about the impact already of this COVID-19. I mentioned earlier about the more than 1 billion affected learners globally. And then next, please. We also would like to mention that we are talking about 28 million learners in the Philippines alone. No? So ganito po kalaki ang effect kung titigil. And we're very happy. We're very inspired about the mantra that DepEd just mentioned. Ito po yung padagos ang pagkanood. And we firmly believe as well in this mantra. So next slide, please. So what is actually happening? The direct impact on this pandemic is, of course, the increased level of education, the inequality there, the learning loss, the possible increase in student dropouts. And I think we appreciate the latest survey results that we were given by DepEd. This will be very useful to us as administrators in shaping the direction of our learning modalities and the direction of how we will deliver our instruction. So psychosocial effects of the pandemic to the learners and their families, harm to households that some parents have temporarily or even permanently lost their jobs, and even the long-term effect on human capital and welfare. And this is the next slide. This is why we'd like to go back to these slides. Moving forward, and we will hear now from our panel of reactors. No? We've heard about collaboration, and this is really the theme of this, the first forum that we have. It's focused on collaboration and cooperation of all stakeholders. Moving forward, we're looking at development of policy responses, enforce and manage learning continuity, build coping mechanisms for improved resiliency, and of course, ang pinakamahalaga po at yun ang gusto nating maabot with this forum ay we're able to establish consortium to address education challenges. So yun lang po, no? Ito yung gusto naming ma-share before we get now to hear all other members or all other stakeholders in the education sector. So James, thank you so much.
Hello? Okay. So we'll now proceed to the open forum. So siguro, in order to follow as much as possible the limited time that is left to us, we will only entertain a few questions. Then after that, we'll proceed to the reactors. So for now, may I have the questions now at the chat box? Okay. So we have here from Madam Sandy Milyare. We're reading at the chat box. Considering the delivery of learning modality mode, what would be the challenges and action steps on the part of the teachers, learners, and parents to ensure effective teaching and learning process? To whom are we going to address the question? I think from DepEd, can we request Sir Banyas?
Yes, thank you, Sir James. Ano po? Well, that's a very good point, ano, coming from was it a parent, Sir James? Ano? Yung ating
it does not indicate here, sir. Probably
I think,
teacher.
Okay, it's no longer ano pa. I think the most important thing here as we go along implementing the new normal for the coming school year 2020-2021 is of course the cooperation ano po, and the commitment of our parents. Kasi yung ating pagkatuto naman ng mga bata ay hindi naman nakasalalay lang solely to our teachers. This will be a collaboration actually between the parents and the school. Ano po? Kung dati tayo yung parents yung nag-aano sa school, sa mga teachers, ngayon baliktad. 'Di ba? Parents will have at least the biggest, if not totally the biggest role to play in the learning continuity of their children. But of course, DepEd will always be there. Our teachers will always be there to guide and continue the learning process. It may not be within the four corners of the classrooms as we are used to in the past school years. It may teaching learning process will happen or may happen in the comforts of their home. So ang point lang natin dito, sir, is yung makuha natin yung commitment, ano po, yung participation ng ating mga uh, parents. Kasi doon tayo nakasalalay eh. Kung wala yon, hindi natin masyado ano yung mga bata natin, yung mga learners. So we always embark sa help po ng ating mga parents, ng community in general.
Thank you very much, sir, for that very insightful answer. For now, we will be requesting a reaction from one of the representatives of our students, si Midshipman Gerard Bata, to let us hear from them. Midshipman Gerard.
Hello, sir. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Yes, good morning.
Our participants today in our virtual conference. So here is my question po. So what will be the counterpart of the institution, CHED, DepEd, and the local government on adapting and resetting all students' usual practices on the new normal? So I repeat my question. What will be the counterpart of the institution, CHED, DepEd, and the local government on adapting and resetting all students' usual practices for the new normal, for the upcoming new normal, sir?
Is that a question for us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I will for all of us, right? Okay, I will answer on behalf of our office, the Commission on Higher Education. You were asking about the counterpart of CHED in this new normal. Right now, the regional office with the BFHE. Hello. The regional office with the Bicol Foundation for Higher Education is coming up with a training on fast tracking of the retooling of AGIs and flexible learning in Region 5 for Education 4.0 for academic year 2020-2021. So this is the first for CHED. And this is being funded by the Commission on Higher Education with a whopping amount of 28.8 million. So this is the trainings are given free by CHED and the BFHE, hopefully to prepare the faculty members in the delivery of the flexible learning, blended learning in asynchronous and synchronous methodology. Hopefully, because we can never say that the schools are really ready for something new, especially with this big change in our community. But we are all working on it. CHED is working on it, and we are trying to prepare all the HEIs to this new normal in education.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So,
Thanks.
siguro,
Yes,
may I
sir.
now answer the question of Sir Bata? Okay po.
Yes, sir. You may proceed, sir.
On the part of DepEd, we can say that the 2020-2021 school year will be a bit different, if not totally different from the past school years. As I have reported or relayed to you earlier, if we have 100% learning competencies being taught to all our learners for the past school years, for this particular school year, we have removed at least 60% of it, making it more adaptable to our learners. Meaning, hindi siya congested na. Like, if we are to compare it in the past, this will help a lot to our learners. In that sense, in that way, DepEd will be able to as an institution will be able to contribute to the holistic development of our learners amid the pandemic. So through the huge percentage of learning competencies that we remove in the normal number of learning competencies per curriculum guides that we are being taught to all our learners, it will help a lot yung ating learners. They will not, kumbaga hindi ni sila mabubugbog. Learning process will take place in the comforts of their homes, and then hindi siya masyado ganoon kasiksik, klik-klik, kumbaga. So sa ganong proseso, matutulungan natin yung ating mga learners. while we are having this situation, abnormal situation, still education of these learners will still continue. That's all po, Sir James. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, once again. So we had discussed extensively about the new modules and the modes of learning that will be used during the new normal. And we have recognized the very important role to be played by the media in the conduct of the delivery of instruction. So at this point in time, let us hear a reaction from the director of the Diocesan Multimedia Services, representing, of course, the media. May we call in Reverend Father Joseph Salando. Father?
Yes, thank you, Sir James, and greetings to all of you, to our dear Mayor of Legazpi, Mayor Rosal, and the representatives of DOH, DepEd, and CHED. I am Father Joseph Salando, and I work for the Diocese of Legazpi, specifically in its mission in the field of media. Um, I'm very happy to be here and to learn from you. Listening to you, I see the important role of media, especially of our local media, in helping our education sector in being responsive to the context of our learners and their parents and their families. And there are a lot of potentialities that media could offer to the education sector. For instance, in our part in the Diocesan Multimedia Services, under which also we have the Veritas Legaspi and Spirit FM, we have been talking among ourselves, how could we help students and teachers? Just a little story. Um, Here, I am here in Cathedral of St. Gregory, and we have here our convent help. She has a 7-year-old son, and I would frequently ask them, so what will you do this coming school year? Sabi niya, ako na lang po der ang maturo sa kuyang aki. And then I thought to myself, what could media help give as a help to this mother of a 7-year-old son? And I said to her, do you want to also listen to TV or view TV and radio that offers also learning modules to your son? And nag-ano po siya, naugma siyang ngaray. Sabi niya, yes, there, gusto ko po yan. And so with that conversation with her, we started to plan out here among ourselves in the Veritas media. And so we have come up with this VISOA or Veritas School on Air. We are ready to use our platform, specifically the Spirit FM, as a platform for education. So we are ready to give to make available uh, 4 to 8 or 9 hours of our platform. We will adjust to the needs of the community. We can have our programming, the music programming in the evening, but to have a semblance of a classroom setup, we have thought of really giving 7 a.m. to 12 and then 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. of our regular FM programming. We have plans for this, we have packages for this, and we are ready to be in conversation with you, the schools. In fact, I've started to reach out to DepEd and to Bicol University and other schools. And still in the process, this is an ongoing project. But here we are here to tell you to listen to your needs. And perhaps also in behalf of Father Pau Barandon, is president of the KBP chapter. I believe there are also initiatives on the part of the different radio stations and media outfits in the Bicol or in the Albay province. And we assure you of our help, of our availability. Just tell us, we just need to sit down together and to listen to one another. And I congratulate Mariners for this significant initiative. I appreciate this much because by coming together, listening to one another, we aside from that, from the fact that we get to know one another, we also put our resource we can put our resources together, or experience, or learning, or platforms in order to be really responsive to the needs of the times. We have to act within our context. And I would say yes to creative collaboration versus unhealthy competition. Yes to courage to continue learning versus debilitating disruption to learning opportunities. And yes to constant communication among us through media, broadcast media, social media, versus paralyzing hopelessness and defeatism. And so, congratulations and thank you for having me here. I'm Father Joseph Salando.
Thank you very much, Father Joseph. And actually, we really welcome the inputs you have shared with us, especially the willingness in particular of the media sector and specifically the Radio Veritas communication groups in extending your help on how we can provide or extend uh, distance learning in this time when we are facing this new normal. At this point, we will hear from a representative of the parents. So may we call in Madam Helen G. Billen. Madam? Madam Billen? Okay, so we're still waiting for, okay. So I think we will have to proceed first with the reaction from Tabang Bicol. So may we call in Madam Evita Jimenez Tuason, the chairperson of Tabang Bicol. Madam, good morning po.
Yes, hello, good morning.
Hi ma'am, good morning.
Yeah, it's lunchtime na pala. Oo.
Yes
Magandang
ma'am.
tanghali po. Yeah, it's lunchtime, so I hope I'll just give in a few ideas, no? Actually, I congratulate first Mariners Polytechnic Colleges Foundation in Legazpi, our sister school. I'm also the chairperson of Mariners in Canacman and the Mariners in Naga. So this is a very good opportunity for us to interact with the other schools and especially with our NGAs in education, CHED, and the DepEd, the DOH, and of course our chairperson of the Regional Development Council, Mayor Legazpi, where Tabang Bicol is actually an accredited private sector organization in the RDC. So good noon to all. So my first immediate reaction is actually about the approaches that were shared with us by the different NGAs, which are very, very much welcoming, and we have heard of this on the national level. But I have to distinguish between what can be done now and between what can really be practical, no, for everybody, the stakeholders. Unang-una po ay actually the problems are real now. No? Globalization, business and education, schools will remain closed if we don't have enrollees. You know, the fear is there. So for the parents, I hope we will be hearing from the parents also. But Tabang Bicol has had several interactions with the organizations coming from the communities in Masbate, Camarines Sur, Albay, Camarines Norte. And number one concern of the parents, the students as well, is about fear. The fear that when they go back to school, will they be safe? Number two is if they're going to enroll, will they get the same quality education? I mean, this is a very first time that we'll be going online. Modular education from the approach that has been shared with us will be a very, very first time in the whole world. In fact, not only in Bicol, not only in the whole Philippines, of course. So there's the fear that are we going to get what our money, you know, the enrollment fees that we will be paying, you know, the quality education. So number three is about the fear of are we going to finish the school? Are we going to finish the courses that we enrolled in? So there is that fear that comes with everything. So this is from the part of the parents, yung mga estudyante that we have come in contact with during the past months. The latest is, of course, the surveys that had been done. Of course, the surveys that had been shared with us by the DepEd and the CHED is about the preference of parents and students to go modular, online, combination of, the flexible kind of education. But there are also other surveys that said, and this one is, I would like to quote from just recently, no, the survey about are parents going to enroll their students. Dito po sa Calabanga, I mean Calabar zone area, a survey was done and more than 80% of the parents are saying that they would rather focus on finding jobs. Focus on finding jobs. Hanap muna kami trabaho po, ma'am. Imbis po yung education, we can just leave our students, wag na muna mag-enroll, magtrabaho muna sila. They should help us, make both ends meet. In short, these are all surveys that are addressing real-time problems. So, ito po yung mga short term. And of course, the concern of the private school owners. If no students will enroll, ito po yung gusto ko rin marinig din sa ating mga NGAs and of course, sa ating government agencies and of course, our national government. If no students or if there is less than 50% or 40% of the students that we hope to enroll will not be enrolling. Kahit na nag-intend sila during the registration that they will be enrolling, what if we don't meet the number of students? So schools will be forced to close. So ito po yung mga immediate na concerns that I would like to ask our guests. But Tabang Bicol would like to forward, what we call bottom-up, na recommendation, a bottom-up approach that we hold this unified, multi-stakeholder, holistic approach to what we are going to do to address the problem of health, the problem of education, the problem of hanap buhay together. I mean, this should be part of the approach that we should be bringing, the message to be brought to the parents that we are going to take care of this. Not kanya-kanya, kundi the whole Bicol region would be addressing this in a way that is unified, multi-stakeholder. We don't have to approach each agency, but we only have to discuss this, like in this forum, that we will have a multimedia, multi-stakeholder campaign to address the problem of fear, the problem of the inequalities that are now being shown, with some having jobs, the others do not have jobs, being laid off. And of course, thirdly, yung digital gaps that had been discussed a while ago. Ito po yung the long term that I would like to address. Kung on short term, we have to address the fear, inequality, and the digital gaps. Secondly, sa long term po, I think we should start talking about the COVID-19 will not end this year. It will not be, it will be with us for the rest of 5 years. If we have to draw the experience of the 1918 pandemic, it lasted for 10 years or more. So without the COVID-19 cure, we'll be facing the same problems that we are now facing now. No? That is why the long-term approach is, I think, from the bottom-up, program of many countries that have succeeded, in addressing the problem of mitigating the effect of COVID-19 is to approach it on a multi-stakeholder, the holistic approach of NGAs coming together to address the problem of hanap buhay first and foremost, which is appearing to be the number one concern of all parents. And number two, of course, is the digital gap, which is imbis na kanya-kanyang schools to take care of the content and the technology, why not have a survey on what schools are ready to address the concern of providing technology. Yung ibang schools can provide the content, no? We can have a long-term discussion on that with the leadership of DepEd and CHED. So I think from the point of view of Tabang Bicol, we are trying to, address how to reduce the negative impact of the COVID-19 by having a multi-sectoral, multi-stakeholder approach of unang-una, addressing the fear. Kasi takot ang mga tao So alam niyo ba yung fear na yan, minsan misplaced because marami pa rin ang hindi naniniwala na ang sakit ng COVID-19 is airborne and that they can actually get together in crowded places, hindi po pwede ngayon. So ang ating tinatawag na social distancing, the wearing of the face mask, and of course the washing of the hands will be with us forever. It will not just be during the COVID-19 quarantine period. So with that, I just like to take note na if you're going to have a long-term and a short-term program on this, let's start with coming up with the consortium that we have been asking for, the private sector, the government sector, and start with the media, start with the campaign to address the concern of parents ng fear, hanap buhay, at yung quality of education that we're going to get for the first time using the new approach by the DepEd and the CHED.
Thank you very much, Madam Evita Jimenez Tuason, Chairperson of the Tabang Bicol. Now at this point, let us call in the representative of the parents, Madam Helen G. Billen. Madam?
Ano ito? Ay,
Morning.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Morning. Okay na po.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good morning.
James, I'm sorry. I think the
Yeah.
mayor has something to say. I'm sorry po
Okay.
for the parents. I think he might have another meeting. James, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
James?
Ma'am Helen, we will hold you for a little while. We will give way muna kay Mayor Rosal. He has another commitment. So let us hear now for a response from the Honorable Mayor Noel E. Rosal of Legazpi City.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
good noon again, everyone. Kanina kasi na-monitor ko yung tanong ng isang estudyante, yung role ng CHED, yung local government, di ba? Saka yung mga sectors pa about this new normal sa education. So as I've said, ang local government, meron naman tayong special educational fund. Allotted talaga yan for educational purpose. So as long as qualified yan under the rule of the fund, ready po dapat ang ating mga local governments. No? Hindi lang sa elementary, pati sa college if ever. So ang ibig sabihin, if the new normal requires, di ba, those in the public schools na kailangan online, the local government can appropriate for that purpose. Kasi hindi lalabas ang mga bata, so meaning more tayo doon sa virtual or tinatawag natin online. Now, ang mga role ng ating mga local governments ngayon is to see to it to realign or reassess the usage of their special educational fund. Okay? Okay? Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Mayor,
Yeah.
James, for Mayor, please.
Yes, sir. Mayor, may we recognize Madam Merly Jimenez for some
Yeah.
follow-up?
Yeah.
Yes, Mayor. We know you're very busy, so sisingit lang po namin ito kasi one of the aims really of this forum is to engage and connect our community to the LGU. Is there any recovery program that the city, your leadership has already done now? And specifically po, is it possible to have a partnership on kami po kasi sa Mariners, we are venturing into Radyo Adal. It is really tapping the radio as another mode, as another platform for the learning continuity. Now, is there a possibility that the LGU could extend help in terms of course, kung ano po ang counterpart na maaring maibigay ng LGU para po magkaroon ng institutional support itong Radyo Adal, which can be, as we see it, I think DepEd really is the first agency that would be involved here, because ang curriculum po ng DepEd ay compared to the CHED, medyo mas malawak po kasi at marami yung programs ng CHED. But with DepEd, gawa na po ito at ito'y curriculum na talagang applied for all. So ang question po namin, because we'd like to engage, it possibly we are involved here. We already have a program with Radyo Veritas, and we will be continuing our discussion. But something of that nature na may LGU component po itong Radyo Adal. How would you see that, Mayor, please?
Yeah, yes, Madam San Pedro, as I said, marami pa, almost all the radio stations in Legazpi, meron kaming contract for the dissemination. As I've said, ngayong new normal, we can use that, we can realign that for education purpose. Hindi lang sa grade school, including tertiary. You just write us, then may alat kami mga oras dyan, we will be open. Then it's just a matter of communication sa mga estudyante nyo. May mga Bicol-wide tayong radio na pwedeng yung mga estudyante nyo, kasi ang Mariners, meron kayo sa Catanduanes, Masbate, na mga estudyante, makakatulong yan. No? As I've said, this is the time really that the local government should participate. Meron naman tayong local fund para dyan. And I'm not only speaking for Mariners. Yung mga talagang hindi kaya, pabayaan mo na yung mga ibang mga universidad, medyo kaya ng mga magulang magbili ng mga laptop. Pero I understand the situation of Mariners. So, hindi lang Mariners, yung mga level na talagang dapat pwede natin in airwave sa radio. Yan ang papalabas natin. So, rest assured po that even in the RDC, we can also make some recommendation relative to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sige, balik tayo kay Madam. Thank you very much, Captain Dino. Salamat.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ma'am Merly.
Mayor.
May we now revert to Madam Helen Billen, representative from the parents.
Thank you.
Madam?
Thank you, Mayor.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Naririnig na kaya ako?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're loud and clear.
Good morning po. Sa side po namin ng mga parents, ang tinatanong lang namin na gusto namin makarating din sa schools and sa CHED, kasi po talaga ngayong panahon, nandyan po yung nawalan talaga ng mga trabaho yung mga parents. Ngayon, anong assurance namin as parents na talagang matututo yung mga anak namin, dahil nung time po pag nung una is face-to-face tayo. Ngayon po is gito na nga, distance learning. Sa CHED po and DepEd, ilang percent po kayang assurance namin na matututo sila, and then yun po, isa pa po yung mga parent na nagsasabi na nawalan sila ng work. Hihingi lang sana kami ng tulong from CHED kung ano pong pwede namin gawin, na kasi po 'di ba may mga study now pay later na ano yun, CHED. Okay pa po ba sila hanggang ngayon? Nakaka-avail pa po ba niyan ang mga parents and the students?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. So
I will reply on that.
May we call in the chat first, madam?
Okay.
Opo.
So for the chat, yung tanong ni ma'am muna on loans, yes, we are still accepting loans. Yung Unifast po is still fine with that, no? So you can come to the office and sandali lang po, nag-e-echo, sorry. So you can come to the office and talk to the Miss Ray is in charge with the Unifast. So okay pa po yung loans. And as to the scholarships, all the ongoing scholarships are still fine. However, we are not accepting yet new scholars. Kasi may statement kami po dyan na mukhang tinulong yung para sa new scholarship dun sa mga affected ng COVID. So ginamit natin yung para sa school mga scholarship, no? Now, yung sa Unifast, sa SUCS and LUCS, okay pa rin po yun. So yun po ang sigurado. Now, as to yung what percentage daw na the assurance of CHED that the students will still learn, makakapag-aral pa rin sila ng mabuti. Well, as you know, frankly speaking, we are all in something like a transition period from the regular classroom to the flexible, blended type of learning. So no one can really say that all of our students will learn 100%. The same with the time na nasa classroom sila, hindi naman sila talaga natuto ng 100%. So we really are asking for commitment from the faculty members, the administrators, and especially also the students and the parents for this new normal. Ito pong transition natin, no one is ever ready for something new. No one is ever ready for this change. So siguro on our end, CHED, is to ask all of us, all of you, to help one another. Kami naman po sa CHED, we try to regulate, help the schools in developing whatever po na pagbabago dito sa bagong nating new normal. So we can always promise you that we will regularly monitor the higher education institutions in their delivery of their curriculum, their delivery of flexible learning. Ito nga pong nasabi ko kanina, yung fast-tracking retooling of the faculty members. Hopefully, matulungan ang faculty members para maintindihan nila po na yung lessons talaga na yon hindi lang po ipapadala sa estudyante para matuto ang estudyante on her own, on his own, but there can be many modalities for the faculty members to deliver the lessons well. So hopefully po, in a feedback mechanism, also on our part na magmamonitor kami regularly, hopefully po, maging maganda rin ang kakalabasan ng first semester. We are gearing up now for the opening of classes in August. So we are really working hard on this. Hopefully po, we are really crossing our fingers that we will be able to do this well. Okay, that's
Thank you,
for
ma'am.
Chad, sir.
Can we hear from DepEd, sir?
Thank you, Sir James. Ano po, maganda, very
Yes.
valid yung tanong observation ni Ma'am Helen. Ano po? Well, on the part of DepEd, siguro alam naman natin, libre ang mga paaralan natin, unang-una, di po ba? Wala pa tayong sinisingil na bayarin, no collection policy that's being imposed, implemented by DepEd across all schools, public schools in the region, and even the entire country. So wala pong kayong iisipin, wala po kayong babayaran, wala po kayong, and we are not imposing, especially if there will be an online thing requirement, quote unquote, ano po. Kasi we always refer to the preference of the learner. If the parents or the learner cannot afford, we will not impose. That's the mandate ni DepEd. We will resort to the self-learning modules to be distributed to the barangays to the help of the local government unit na doon kunin po if the parent or the learner cannot go direct to the school. Lagi marami tayong options, Ma'am Helen. So we always bear in mind the preference of our learners and the safety and security while pursuing the continuity of the learning process in the comforts of their homes. Ano po? Doon po sa tanong na ilang makakatuto ba, I believe so. Ano po? We always emphasize, as I have said earlier in my presentation, it takes a whole village to educate a child. Di po ba? Now, doon po sa mga magulang na sabihin natin may challenge sa pagtuturo sa bata kasi they themselves, alminin po natin na ang iba hindi po talaga nakakabasa, nakakasulat. In that sense, in that case, DepEd is embarking on another program to have a peer tutoring. Ano po to? Pwede po tayong mag-train ng mga big sisters, big brothers, kapitbahay, mga education graduates na pwede pong magturo sa mga bata, mga kapitbahay. We will be embarking on that program just for us to ensure that your kid, that your children will learn the expected learning competencies before the school year ends. Nakuha ko po Ma'am Helen yung katanungan. Salamat po.
Thank you, sir, for uh, the response. And now, due to the limited time that is left to us, in fact, lumagpas na po tayo, we will only probably accommodate two more questions before we proceed to the synthesis. However, we would like to remind all participants that you can still send your questions through the chat box. We will be having a database for this, and definitely we will have to send it to the respective concerned agencies to whom you are addressing the question. So for now, may I recognize the Dean, the Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Mila Esparago. Madam, for your question.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are very happy because we got so many information about current undertakings for the new normal. I would like to address this question to DepEd and Chet. We would like to have another modality of reaching out our students. First is on homeschooling for our senior high school students and also for college level. For the homeschooling, we have read in the internet. We came across in the internet that there are schools that have to be accredited in homeschooling because we would like to offer some areas of the curriculum of DepEd, especially for math, physics, chemistry, and other major courses for our senior high school students. And also the other one is homeschooling for three levels in the college. One is for our dropouts or school leavers. The other one is for second degree courses. And the third is something like specialization in some areas, like for example, in the customs administration for supply chain management. So we would like to learn from DepEd and Ched on what we can do so that we can avail of this modality to our students, especially our school leavers who had long been out of school. And this is the time for them to be in school through distance learning.
The question is addressed to Ched. Yes, Sir Roy, from DepEd.
Mauna na ako, sir, sumagot po siguro.
Yes, sir.
Can I be the first one? Kasi, yes, thank you, Madam Esparago, for raising that issue or concern. Actually, I have already stated or mentioned that particular modality, homeschooling, in my previous presentation. And I have said po earlier, Madam, na DepEd, while DepEd is considering homeschooling as one of the modalities to be implemented this coming school year, but yet we are we are not yet in receipt of the final and official revised policy guidelines how we will implement the homeschooling program. As we all know, homeschooling program, while it is a good modality, especially so that we are in this pandemic, but still we have to consider certain provisions as it is being implemented or to be implemented by DepEd. So once we are in receipt of the final and official guidelines, in fact, ma'am, may I mention the other day I already entertained several proposals, but we always say that still in the hands of our DepEd CEO counterpart. We have already stated all our all our suggestions, comments in the proposed revised policy guidelines. So perhaps, Ma'am Sparago will inform you in once we will immediately inform you po once a DepEd order stating, detailing the particular revised policy guidelines along the implementation of the whole homeschooling program. We will inform you then po, Ma'am Sparago.
Thank you, sir.
Po, Sir James.
So, yes, sir.
Okay,
So can we hear
from Ched?
Yes, ma'am.
From Ched, yes.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So similarly with DepEd, right now many of our policy standards and guidelines are undergoing revision to adapt to the new normal. Specifically, our PSG on distance education, transnational education, and flexible learning is still undergoing revisions right now. Though nakapag, ano na ma'am, nakapag public consultation na po, but still undergoing revisions. Well, anyway, sooner or later, we will be informing you of the final PSG of the distance education. But I think that's noted, ma'am, and that's a very good idea coming from our former chief. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Vinyas. So I think due to the limited time, we can only accept one last question before we proceed to the synthesis. May I recognize Midshipwoman Jana Katigbak, again representing the studentry. Miss Jana? Yes, Jana?
Hello.
Opo, your question, please.
So, magandang tanghali po sa inyong lahat. So, my question is addressed to Ched. So, a while ago po, you said that wala po munang face-to-face classes. So, how about laboratories? For example, swimming, cooking, and maritime laboratories that really needs actual hands-on because the tools and equipments are there in school. So will you still allow schools to conduct laboratories face-to-face? Or if not, what alternative will you suggest to schools?
Okay, I will answer that. Thank you, Miss Jana Marie. So we conducted on physical contact specifically. I will start first with physical education. No, we just had a public consultation on physical education, and there are some revisions in there. So definitely, may yung mga contact sports, wala po muna yon. As regards laboratory, this is a concern, in fact, of the laboratory courses. Well, I'm in charge of health, so that's yun ang pinaka-concern talaga ng nasa health kasi and yung mga HRM, right now our advice to the schools with this is to start first with the lectures. Unahin muna po yung mga didactics, no? So kasi hindi pa talaga pwede lumabas. Hindi muna pwede lumabas because of your safety, no? So unahin muna po yung didactics, and by the time, hopefully, there will be some good news by September, October, by the time you will be ready. Pero you are also allowed inside. You can have, kasi meron kayang virtual classroom naman. Yung iba, you can have, you can do some of your work outside in your skills laboratory. So definitely, no to OJTs first, and no contact with the community first. No, hindi muna po talaga. I wish also to inform all of you that the CHED COVID Advisory number 8 is underway. So there will be new policies with hand in hand with the Department of Health. So ano muna tayo doon? Let's hold until the new advisory from the Commissioner on Higher Education is out. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Madam. Now, at this point, though we know there are still a lot of questions being raised, but due to the limited time that we have, we will have to cut it short. But as I also mentioned, you can send your questions through the chat box, and we will have a database for that. For now, we will be proceeding to the synthesis of this undertaking in order to give us the salient points on our collective call to action. And may I call in the Vice President for Administration of Mariners Polytechnic Colleges Foundation, Legazpi City, Mr. Conrado L. Cordero. Sir.
Thank you very much, James, and good afternoon, everyone. I actually have taken a lot of notes for this particular forum, but I'm afraid I will no longer be able to share this with you. Otherwise, we might not be able to take our lunch, which we have already delayed. Anyway, I would just like to focus on the matters presented with emphasis on collaboration because that's the theme of our forum. On the local government unit, the Honorable Mayor Noel Rizal mentioned the preparation, allocation to augment required services to ensure adoption to the new normal. so as not to sacrifice the quality of education. And well, actually, it was again um, brought out later parts of the forum with our president, Madam Merly San Pedro, on the possibility of partnership with the local government unit. And the Honorable Mayor has mentioned about the realignment of the city government program over radio to accommodate learning broadcasts. So in other words, there is a commitment on the part of the local government unit to allow us to have access to the resources that the city government now have, particularly on the along the area of communication, the delivery of our learning modalities. I would like to thank the Honorable Mayor for that. Other matters presented focus on, say, the Department of Health with Dr. Pignol, the emphasis on governance and accountability. Again, this is related to collaboration of stakeholders, the commitment of the higher education institutions and the local government units. For the Department of Education with Dr. Banyas, the presentation on the SMILE, which is the framework or mantra for the school year for learning continuity. And a component of this SMILE is on engagement of stakeholders or learning continuity in schools. For the, on the other hand, for the Commission on Higher Education by Dr. Vinyas, the CHED has this program on retooling of faculty members. So the HEI will nominate faculty members to attend this faculty retooling program of the Commission on Higher Education, and this is funded by the Commission on Higher Education, and it is in partnership with the Bicol Foundation for Higher Education Institutions. So overall, we can say that we have achieved the goal of this forum with the partners in ensuring continuity of education to ensure that no student is left behind. Only that we have to, by moving on rather, we have this call to action. With the commitment from the local government unit, there is a need for us, stakeholders and partners in education, to somehow form a consortium. So with the initiative from our institution, we'll be having a concretization of this partnership efforts among us, so that we will be able to attain the objective of full collaboration with the LGU, the regulatory agencies, private and public educational institutions. But it's obviously we cannot have it right now. We will have arrangement in the future, and this will be based on the LGU's commitment regarding the broadcast media, the availability of this resource, and again, this will be extended to us all. So as a jump-off start, we can, as mentioned by the President, the Radyo Adal program of the Mariners Polytechnic Colleges Foundation of Legazpi City. We will utilize that, and hopefully we'll be able to, again, achieve our target of full collaboration among ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Cordero. Now, even after some few glitches that we have experienced earlier, again, we are still very happy that somehow the main aim of our virtual stakeholders forum still has been attained, and we are very glad to express to you our deepest appreciation in behalf of the Mariners Polytechnic Colleges Foundation, in particular our president, Madam Merly Jimenez San Pedro, and including the Secretariat. We would like to express our thanks to everyone who participated. And mind you, may we mention it, this is only the beginning. Please expect further invitations that we will be sending out. In fact, we already are planning for the next webinar comes end of July in order to sustain the momentum of our present endeavor. We will be sending you invitations for future collaborations, and we are also announcing it on air. We are inviting everyone, to those who would like to join our Radio Adal program. And we would like to reiterate, we don't want anyone to be left behind. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, this now ends our virtual education stakeholders forum. Thank you and have a good day. Please keep safe, everyone.
Thank you, James. Thank you. And to our valued guests from CHED, Dr. Vinyas, and from DepEd, Mr. Banas, and from Radio Veritas, thank you so much. And Dr. Jimenez, our chairman of the board, is with us also. Thank you so much. God bless everyone. God bless
Thank
you.
you, thank you.
Thank you, James. Thank you, James, and to our team. And Mayor's office, kaya lang wala na ata siya. So thank you so much.